The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
This I've got to see.
It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
There we go. This meeting's being recorded. Welcome, gentlemen. Saturday, March 27th, 2021. I can see Andy. I love when you guys keep your cameras on. It helps me interact with you. Michael's here. Good to see you. Kent's microwave oven is here. Kent will join us shortly. He's like Vanna White. He comes in and out of the screen. Sheldon's here. John's here. Tom's here. Good to see you, buddy. Robert. Yeah, buddy. JT. What's up? Mark just came in. Love to see you guys. Yeah, today I'm keeping it chill. This is my Saturday attire. I actually changed already. You guys are lucky. I had my fucking sweatshirt on before. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll put a button up on. Right, JT, you got to clean up a little bit. Put a beanie on. You know, you don't need to brush your teeth. We can't smell anything. So
gotta cover up that prettiness.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You can't cover up certain assets, you know.
That's right.
You got to keep certain assets available. That's exactly right. JT, good to see you. Yeah, so today my theme of the call today, our live tribe call, is the number one tip for bone deep confidence. And this is based off of, I did the math again the other day, something like 26,000 hours of me being in this field of psychology and coaching and the hundreds of men that I've coached. And I stopped counting when I hit 10 retreats. I think I've done over 10 get-togethers with guys all around the country, all around the world, from Sweden to Georgia to Idaho to Pennsylvania to here in Colorado to Oregon to New Hampshire and Boston. Right, all over the world. So Sweden and Lund and Copenhagen, and haven't been to the UK yet because the world closed down. But as soon as the world opens up again, you know, Dan Dora and Steve over in London got to get out over there. I haven't been to Mexico with Steve yet. I've been to Mexico before though. But yeah, so the number one tip for bone deep confidence, that's what I'm going to get into today. I'm going to spoil it right away and then we're going to unfold it. So the tip is get a life of your own. The tip is get a life of your own. The one theme that I see, the one giant mistake guys make. So yeah, here's my here's my notes for today. Number one tip for bone deep confidence. I'm just going to spoil it. Get a life of your own. The biggest theme that I see, and you know, I went through this as well, was we lose ourselves. We lose that fire in our own chest. We lose our own life. You know, who are we without her? And I love these two little pictures here. One is you know, you don't have to be Superman to give yourself credit in the world. And this squirrel right here is a hero of his own life, launching over the fence to go after whatever he's going after. And he's a hero in his world right now. He's living in the moment. That squirrel is living in the moment. And so we could take some lessons from that superhero squirrel. And then I love this quote from the Kierkegaard: anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. And I'll come back here. So a lot of times our anxiety in the world is because we have so much choice, because we actually do have so much to be grateful for, to be appreciative of. That's something I want to hit on today too, right? So this work is about us and it's about our relationship, right? Most of us, 99% of us, come to this because we experience like an ego death through relationship. There was an implosion very close to our heart and to our loins in life. Generally, both of those things are not going very well in relationship. And we want that to be better. We want to know how to be on fire for our own selves, and want to know how for her to be on fire for us as well, for us to have passion in our life, right? And that's why we're here. So I'm going to actually check in with you guys here shortly. The get a life of your own is what I want to highlight today. Something I talk about on the C-Note show. So Ken's here. Good to see you. Ian's here. Yeah, buddy. I say Barry came in as well. We talk about in the C-Note show of how to cut the thermometer. And this is Steve Forsman and Tim Wade, of course. I know Tim and Steve here from Colorado. I've known them both for going on 5 or 6 years now. And I think Tim put this together, the thermometer. We got to cut the umbilicus of the thermometer, that if she's not happy right now, that doesn't mean that we're a bad boy. That doesn't mean we did something wrong. That doesn't mean it's even necessarily overall a bad thing that she's, going through whatever she's going through right now. And that's part of her agency as a woman, and she wants to be treated as a woman, and she wants you to acknowledge what's going on, but not be blown over by that. So we talk about that a lot. We want desire for life. That's why we're here. The war plan I talk about all the time. Cynthia and I talk about our morning kingly plan and the 3 forms of confidence that I lean on every single day, of the emotional control, the behavioral skills of what to do, and the why, the map of why you are where you are. So I want to get this going here. I need to do about 20 seconds of housekeeping, right? So this is being recorded. So I am going to share this, and Steve Horstman's going to share this in our private forum. So the Good Guys to Great Men forum. I am an affiliate of Steve Horstman and Good Guys to Great Men. I have been for years now at this point. I have my own company, Great Men Move Mountains. And we have the different free forums, and we're brothers in arms, and we do stuff together. We do stuff on our own as far as our own companies as well. We both do retreats. All of us do retreats all around the world. And we're looking at one in Colorado here at the end of August. I know Steve is doing the Better Man horse focused retreat here in Loveland, I believe, as well this year. So we're doing as much as we can with the world being opened up as much as we can. But yeah, so your likeness will be shared. I love it when you keep your cameras on, and we're going to talk. We're going to share with each other here pretty quick. I'm going to ask you to check in with us. I'm going to ask you to give us 1 sentence of your staircase of courage question for today. And here it is. So who are you without a relationship? Who are you as a man if you don't have any kind of relationship with a woman in your life? There's no intimate or passionate relationship on the table right now. Who are you when that's the case? Who are you when that isn't on the table? Whether it's this morning or this week or this year, who are you without a relationship on the table? And related to that, what would you do for 30 days if you had 30 days of vacation all on your own? What would you do? This question came up on the forum recently. Sven Masterson, who I do work with, and I've been out to his, beautiful place in Pennsylvania. Sven's the man. He's a prolific writer as well. And something that he's talked about is that if you aren't ready to book a vacation for your own self and happily skip around the fucking house being ready to go on this vacation for your own self, for whether it's a week or for 30 days, if you're not ready to do that for yourself, then you don't have a life that you can be excited about. If you can't go take a long weekend at least, or go somewhere for a week on your own, or go see your friends and then go into the mountains, or go camping, or go to the desert, or whatever it is you do, go climb a mountain. If you can't go plan something like that for your own self, then you don't have this number 1 tip that I'm sharing with you today. You don't have a life that you can go engage in and feel enlivened by and stoke your own fire within your own chest. So the woman in your life doesn't feel like, you need to do that through her. That's one of the biggest mistakes we make. So I want you guys to answer that question. So check in. Let me jump over to you. That's enough of me talking. It's been 11 minutes. Who are you without a relationship, and what would you do for 30 days if you had vacation all on your own? I'm going to pick on Andy Malloy first. I'm going to pick on some of you guys. So share a few sentences. Who are you as a man without relationship, and what would you do if you had 30 days of vacation all on your own? What would you do for yourself? Come on in, Andy.
Yeah, I know. I love that question. It's a great question. I know exactly what I'd do. I would mix the work I do, which is photography, and I would use that to mix in with voluntary work. And I would travel off to South America, China, and use that to help people, teach people in some way, and get to do some traveling as well. Try and make it like a win-win. But it definitely involved traveling.
Yeah. Traveling and volunteering. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, a big reason we're here, guys, is to share with each other. I think some of you are chatting with each other in privately in the chat, which is fantastic. That's a big reason that we're here. A big piece of this is sharing with each other wins. Okay. Because I know you want to be inspired. A big piece of being here and putting your time into this is you want to be inspired. You want that one thing that can open a new door for you in your mind and your heart and your soul. That's why you're here, mind, body, and spirit. So share with each other. And let's bounce around. Give us a couple more sentences. So, John, I can see your picture right now, buddy. Come on in. Can you mute yourself? What would you do for 30 days? If you had 30 days all on your own, there's no relationship, what would you do for your own self?
Well, I guess I might be a little unique, Jeff. My relationship has been kind of completely disconnected for so long that I do kind of live my own life. I tell myself all the time, my life is perfect except for my marriage, which sucks. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I do make my own decisions. I do my own thing. My wife does her own thing. I probably, if I could do anything on my own for 30 days, and I am going out to Steve's retreat in May, out to Loveland, I would probably do that. I just like being in the mountains, and I'm a horseman, and I like being out in the woods, and that's probably what I would do. So
fantastic.
I plan on doing that this year.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jeff, for coming in.
Sure, my pleasure.
So Tom, come on in. Tom, how about you?
Hi. This is kind of interesting because I just came back from a 2-week vacation in the Fort Myers area in Florida to get away from the Wisconsin winter. My wife and I had booked the trip over a year ago, and she decided she did not want to go. And so I decided that I'm going by myself, and it was an excellent decision. In past days, I may have just canceled it and stayed home, but I'm really glad I went. It was just great to get a break from the winter and enjoy the beautiful weather and talk to different people and all of that. And I had a great time. Our youngest daughter came down for a few days and we spent some time together. If I went for a longer trip, some of the other things I would consider doing is I have really seen very little of this country, and I would love to take some trips to some of the national parks that are around. And also, I absolutely love baseball. I would do like a trip to hit several ballparks during the course of the season.
Very cool. I love it. Tom, you seem to be in touch with who you are, what you want. And is that a new thing? So I'm going to ask a leading question, right? How did that go when you decided, hey, I'm going to go on this trip and I'm going to invite her. If she doesn't want to come, that's okay, but I'm going to go regardless. Is that a new thing for you?
That is definitely a new thing for me and a definite sign of growth. I'm trying to answer that question for myself, who I am apart from the marriage relationship, because I was that quintessential nice guy, as Dr. Roger Glover explains in his books, and was a people pleaser and literally forgot who I was and what made me happy in my 41 years of marriage. So I'm rediscovering who I am, and it has its ups and downs, but it's been an incredible journey. And that trip I took and making that decision to go anyway, even if my wife didn't want to go, was really a sign of growth for me.
Yeah, that's such an enormous thing, Tom. And you talked about what was it that you wanted to build on for your own self? You said regardless of whether she wanted to go, you're going to build on it for your own self.
I think it was just realizing that I can do things and explore what I like and what I want to do and what interests me outside of my relationship with my wife. And that's kind of, it's tough to admit that, but that's something that's a fairly new way of thinking for me. So the courage that it took for me to say, you know what, because she kept saying, don't buy airline tickets yet.
Okay. I see.
And I
I get it now.
said,
Okay.
I'm going to go whether you want to go or not. And she was actually relaxed and pleased, and I think relieved that I had decided to go by myself and not really try and force her to go along, because she definitely did not want to go.
Yeah, I hear you. And well, a huge piece of that as well is sometimes the financial decision and how much that influences us. And so making a choice for our own self to do something and honor ourselves first, put the oxygen mask on us first, is not something that we're used to. So I appreciate that about you, Tom. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Yeah,
Yep.
Michael, how about yourself? Something different maybe that you didn't have all along the way, that you lost, that you did, when you first met her, that you brought back into your life. How about you?
Yeah. Do we have unlimited money and resources for this?
Sure. Yes.
Okay,
Let's go with that. Let's go with that. I like that. Yeah.
Now, so for me, my faith is important to me, and I'd probably increase volunteer work with that. I do a lot with music production and technology and that kind of stuff. So definitely do more of that. Definitely spend more time with other men. Some of the retreats that are offered through Steve and all of the coaches. Definitely, I've been in touch with Sven. He and I have connected as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So what type of volunteerism you said with the music production?
Yeah, music production and media, technology, lighting, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. And with what population around the world?
What do you mean?
So you said you do volunteer work. You would run a travel and do that?
Yeah, for the local church.
Oh, for the local church. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phenomenal. So, Michael, what do you hope to learn at this phase in your work, right? So you've talked to Sven and Steve, and a lot of guys have talked to all these and seen these different shows that we do and the different calls that we do. What are you hoping to look for yourself in this next chapter of your own work, Michael?
Yeah, for me, I think this Zoom meeting today is very relevant, very appropriate. Just really learning how to get a life of my own, because like some of the other guys have shared, I've been married for 26 years, and my life has meshed with hers to the point where I kind of have lost some of my own identity and uniqueness. So just really trying to work on that.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, that's a good segue. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. I'm going to bounce around to some other guys in a minute, but I want to give you another value right away that I always want to give you something practical. So an exercise. And here's one that I've described to men that I've been developing myself over about 12 years, I would say. And it's a 2-minute guided meditation. I'm going to read so there's a book I'm reading right now. It's Waking Up by Sam Harris. And the subtitle is A Guide to Spirituality Without Religion. And Sam Harris is an intellectual. He's also spent time in the Far East. He's done meditative retreats as well, silence retreats on and off over years. And so he's also, I believe, a neuroscientist. He went back to school studying meditation and consciousness and ended up getting a PhD in neuroscience or something like that as on the side. And from his book, I pulled a few quotes, and one I want to share is about existential practice. And so one thing I can give you, that I've been doing this work myself for something like 7 years, right? Actually, back from 2008 is when I started to put my head down in the sand. I went to Mexico and I started to try to figure out, what does this meditation thing mean? What does it mean to have any kind of spirituality? I wasn't religious. So beyond just making money and being successful or going to the gym, what else is there? And one thing I want to give you that I've developed and been studying for a decade now in the field of psychology, and I worked in the public school system, worked with kids with emotional disabilities, and I've been diving into the professional side of this, and now in private practice for going on 5 years, for a long time, right? So a piece of this is, who am I if I were to die right now? If I were to die when I went to bed this evening, who would I be? Who would I have been? What would I do with the next 5 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours of my life in between now and going to sleep tonight, whenever that may be? What if I could stay up for 4 days in a row and live for 4 more days, and those are the only 4 days I had left? How would I handle that? What would I do with that? And so to me, that I consider that an existential practice, and something that I can give you that's advanced, that's an easy concept to understand, that takes consistent practice, which to me is 2 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. If you do it every day, great. This is something I kind of just do when I'm sitting at a red light sometimes now, or when I'm driving to the gym. It takes me 7 minutes to get to my CrossFit gym, and I'll do a breathing exercise for 4 minutes and think about what I'm going to explain to you, which is an existential. If this was my last breath, if you're doing a Wim Hof breathing exercise and you hold your breath out for a minute or 90 seconds, as if that were your last breath. What are you grateful for? And either it's something like that where you're holding your breath, or that's just what you're considering for those 2 minutes. You press the timer on your phone if you need to, if that helps you have a container for yourself. And you do an existential, what if I were to die in 2 minutes, or this is my last breath, or tonight, or by the end of this month, what would I feel about my life? What would I do with the last 8 hours or 4 days of my life? And Sam Harris from the book, he talks about existential practice, and here's his quote: "Buddhism has been of special interest to Western scientists for reasons already hinted at. It isn't primarily a faith-based religion. Its central teachings are entirely empirical. Despite the superstitions that many Buddhists cherish, the doctrine has a practical and logical core that does not require any unwarranted assumptions. Many Westerners have recognized this and have been relieved to find a spiritual alternative to faith-based worship. It's no accident that most of the scientific research now done on meditation focus primarily on Buddhist techniques." So for someone like me that didn't grow up with any kind of religious basis at all, I mean, I literally went to church like 3 times all of my childhood. And I've since gone to church dozens of times. I've studied, I've looked for different churches, and I've gone actually to Southeast Asia to study in Buddhist temples for a 10-day stint. This was a few years back now. So I've actually put myself in different environments. And whether you call it God or the universe or your unconscious or guided meditation or whatever English, my English words around whatever that is for you, you must have faith. You do have faith in something. So Robert Moore from the book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, I've shared him, I've studied his work, I've curated his work. He talks about you believe in something, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You just not gotten out of bed this morning. So whether you believe in a vision of your own self, if you believe in your identity as a father, as a husband, and I'm like segueing here, if you don't have any belief in who you are beyond man as a husband, and all you have is a codependent, shared relationship with your wife and no life of your own self, no life of your own, including who are you if you were to die in a moment from now or by the end of this week? What's that existential practice? If you don't have those groundings, those beliefs in your own self as a man beyond your relationship, then you really don't have a core for her to love. You don't have a core for her to stay passionate about wanting and desiring to be close to. You have to have your own life and root as an oak tree for her to be consistently, continually passionate for you, and thus for you yourself too, but for her in relationship. It's easy at the beginning with honeymoon phase, but it's the how do we stay hot is the advanced question, is the ninja level question. Hey Chris, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, man. It's been a little while. Yeah, bud. Paul came in here too.
Yeah, sorry I was late.
You're good. You're good. So who has a type of existential, maybe you call it prayer, maybe you call it writing in your journal, a question to yourself, maybe you call it part of your kingly plan, or if it's a guided meditation of who would you be if this was your last breath? How many of you guys have a practice like that? I want you to come in. So I don't know, JT, if you've got something like that you do once in a while or every day, or Barry or Lon or Rob, I want you guys to unmute yourself. Someone come in and share how do you process your own mortality? How do you recognize your own finite life as a man? Someone come on in. Go ahead. Someone's unmuted. I think it may still be John. Someone come on in. Who has a practice? No one has a practice like this at all. No one thinks about their own death. Everyone thinks they're going to live forever, and no one thinks about this.
Jeff, this is the C note, but I'll do it.
Go ahead.
I'll jump in. So my morning practice involves a lot of breathing exercises. I think you and I share quite a few of the same. And I will breathe my last breath in the morning, and stay there as long as I can, and think, what am I going to be proud of me today? Um, what am I going to do today to make me proud? And I think that's the central question that's been for me 8 years ago in 2012 when I got the bomb. That's been one of the first questions Steve asked me. What are you going to be proud of yourself today about? And kind of floored me. And I think I cried for a week after he asked me that fucking question.
Right.
And that's the question that sticks with me.
Thanks. Yeah, it reminds me of you and I talk about the yoke that gets put around our neck, and either we put that on our own self or someone else is going to put that on us, it seems to me. And we can choose what backpack that we wear. I think part of what you're talking about, Jason, of the emotion of that is the realization, holy shit, I can choose the backpack that I wear. I can choose my thoughts on a moment-to-moment basis. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think a big part of it was realizing the backpack that I was wearing. I mean, how many rocks I was carrying for my ex-wife, and she explicitly told me, I don't want you to carry the backpack anymore, when she left, right? So, but I was still carrying it for her. I was still trying to take care of her and codependently trying to make her a better person even when we weren't together. And you know to take that one off and put one on for myself was liberating. It was just like a years and years, 40 years of stress of carrying everybody else's shit with me. um yeah, that's what I was doing when I let it off and said I only have to carry me. The emotion was it was overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, what have you found that does for women being attracted to, who you are as a person, as a man, Jason? How do you find that changed?
Oh my God. So I mean, that's really the key. I mean, I actually, and putting it in that context, I actually had a woman tell me that you don't feel heavy. Um, which I think is a big thing. I think if you are are free in yourself, I think um, if you're carrying your own baggage and you're able to skip along through life a little bit, one, you're more fun, you're more able to see other people, and not just see them but feel them. And it gives it gives women the freedom to be free in your presence as well. I mean, they're like, oh, I don't have to carry him anymore, or I don't have to carry him. He doesn't feel heavy. He feels light. He feels like he's gonna take me on an adventure, and it's an intoxicating feeling for women.
Absolutely. I mean, one fun thing. So I just met up with guys in Charlotte. I appreciate that, Jason. That was so good. That she wants to feel like you could almost lift off the ground and take her places. And that's how you felt when you first met her. And you can feel that around other guys when we meet around the country and do fun shit. I just met guys in Charlotte this last weekend. I flew out there Saturday morning real early. I had to leave my house at like 4 a.m, 3:30 in the morning to get down to the airport on time. And yeah, flew out and ended up, of course, I lose 2 hours of time flying east, and got up there, and I landed at noon, and we drove out and shot sport clays in the afternoon, and then drove into downtown Charlotte proper, the South End, and met up for food. And the guys meeting out there, I mean, some dudes drove for 4.5 hours, 2.5 hours, this kind of thing. And 4 guys and me met in Charlotte, North Carolina, to go do some fun stuff. And you feel on fire meeting someplace in the world with guys who believe what you believe and connect on a kind of a level and go do some fun shit. And then we couldn't get into any restaurants because we had a party of 5 and all the rules and there's lots of people around. So we couldn't get a table. If we had 4, it would have been different. We ended up going to Shake Shack, and I had like the best burger I've ever had at Shake Shack. And they serve beers there, man. Like they have beers at Shake Shack, North Carolina. Oh yeah, we don't need no. Well, this is good. I wanted a steak and I got beef. I got a good hamburger, but yeah, it was fun. So shot shit, met guys, ate burgers, had some awesome crinkle fries, and a local beer I forget the name of down in Charlotte. That was fun. So I want to encourage you guys to do those things in life. Absolutely. Well, Chris, let me pick on you, buddy. It's been a bit. Chris, I've known you. Chris and Jason and I have known each other for what, 5-6 years, something like that. So Chris, let me pick on you for a minute. I know you do martial arts, and what do you do for a type of existential practice? You know, do you think about your mortality? Do you think about that kind of shit, Chris?
Not with any regularity or, you know, any designated practice. I turned 50 in September, so I've certainly been considering the implications of half a century of life and how sore my back is, and you know what the next 50 might look like. But I mean, the only thing that really comes to mind is just some of the health practices that I do with my bulletproof coffee every morning. I consider that kind of a staple of my you know, my life, of energizing my life with nutrition. So it is a bit ritualistic, I suppose. I got a new espresso machine recently, so it's kind of this thing I look forward to every morning, getting up, pulling shots, you know, just sipping the coffee while reading something on the Kindle. But again, nothing that I would designate as strictly a you know, a spiritual meditation of any kind.
Sure. So one thing I love about Chris is your honesty, man. Totally great. I mean, so when you have your bulletproof coffee, is it because, hey, I'd like to stay around a couple extra years? That's why. Like,
Yeah, well, Dave Asprey, who invented bulletproof coffee, he's decided he's going to live to 180 years old, and I don't think I'll make it that far. But he also developed this concept of a health span as opposed to a lifespan. I mean, you can live to 120, but no one wants to do that if they're a vegetable connected to a bunch of machines. You know, you want a health span. You want to be able to go out and shoot clay pigeons and go on camping trips in the summer for as long as possible. You know, it's life. But
so you do think about that?
do I don't know. I just think about, you know, what am I going to do next is really, I don't, you know, it's not a matter of, oh my God, time's running out. I'm aware it's going to end someday, but I'm going to fight it as long as possible.
Sure. So, okay, yeah, there's two sides of the coin, right? There's the cutting away of the anchors of things that we have that are fear or anxiety. I talk about this quite a lot, the two sides of the coin. And the other side is the rocket fuel, the skills, the actions, the motivation that's going to move us forward and toward what we want, right? So you're talking about, you focus forward is what you're saying.
I try to. I mean, I spend my share of time lamenting the mistakes of the past, wishing I could go back and try it again. But it doesn't really serve me. That's more just of my daydreaming time. Because, you know, it's never going to change. So only thing that's I can do anything about is tomorrow.
Yeah, fucking A. So how about 30 days? You've got 30 days. What would you do with it on vacation, Chris?
Sorry. So if I'm dying in 30 days, what would I do? Or
That's a good way to put it. I don't know if maybe you missed the question at the beginning. I said, if you had 30 days to go on vacation, what would you do with it? That's a nice spin to add onto it. If it was the last 30 days on the earth, what would you do? Yeah, let's add that to it.
So just free and clear. No cost. Money is no object
Right.
anywhere, anything. I mean, honestly, the ultimate fantasy would be to buy a nice sailboat all decked out and on the West Coast and just go to the horizon. 30 days may be enough time to make it to Hawaii, depending on the wind.
Yeah. Nice.
I've always been a seeker of peace. I have this turmoil. So when it comes down to, just the ultimate vacation, it'd probably be just becoming one with the world around me. And you ask very hard questions. I'm not good at it.
Well, I love sailing. I haven't sailed since I was a kid, and I want to pick it back up again. I live in Colorado, so there's not a lot of sailing around here. Minnesota had the 10,000 lakes. Colorado's got the puddles, that they call a lake here. That's so cute. Oh, that's a lake. Yeah, no, it's not a lake. But I'm going to the coast would be awesome. We love Oregon and Northern California for the redwood trees and the coast there. And you said the West Coast, and I'm thinking, who wants to rent a sailboat, or I want to get a captain out there to refresh me on sailing. And if you want to go to the West Coast and do some sailing, man, I'm thinking about renting a boat as it is.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and also there's volunteer organizations through, Rotary and things that do at-risk youth work. Like, I know you do that and I do that. So I'm thinking about even Ian on the boat that he sends me pictures of. It says, youth work, volunteerism with the sailboats. So I'm thinking about doing that in Spain. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I'm saying you and I should do it together is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I totally would.
All right, well, I'm going to bring it up. I've known Chris a long time, so this is kind of fun. Yeah, so are you still how about you, man? How about you right now? Are you still doing 2 jobs?
No, I've kind of backed off on that. Yeah, things are busy. We're looking at moving soon, so a lot going on. My company just got sold, so I'm working for a different company now, essentially. Same position, but different corporation paying me, essentially. But that's been a little hectic because big corporations like to take up your time with training. My favorite training was a half-hour course on how not to waste time.
You made that up. You just made that up.
I did not make that up. It's office space. It's terrifying. But just keeping busy at work. Unfortunately, my vacation time didn't transfer over to the new position, so I'm starting.
Oh, that's some bullshit. What? Did you get paid out?
Yeah, they bought our options out.
Okay.
And there's some bonuses coming down the pike. So financially, it was actually kind of lucrative. But we all know the most valuable thing we have in this life is time. So trying to find more time.
Sure. Yeah. Well, time stretches out when I'm on a sailboat, man. So
Doesn't it though?
Yeah.
And yet it passes so quickly. Suddenly you're in the next port.
Yeah.
Itching to pull the anchor up and get back to the next horizon.
Yeah. That reminds me, I want to say a couple things today. Oh, I'm going to give you some free stuff. I always do. Let me just copy and paste the links. I won't make you wait till the end kind of thing. I've got 2 posts from the forum that are brand new I haven't gotten to yet. I've got an excerpt from another one from Waking Up by Sam Harris. We'll see if we can get to that. I've got a little story about the rowboat and the angry man. And we've got our class that's coming up here is Secret Sex Signals. So how to know when your woman is reaching out to you, especially when you're dancing up the staircase of intimacy, like we talk about. So, and then of course, Steve Horseman's website. And if you want to get a hold of me one-on-one, to reach out to me to have a free consult call, no strings attached, I can draw you the map of where you are. And then the last link, I just put this in the chat, phrases to whisper softly into her ear. That's Cynthia and my last YouTube video. It's great. It's already got 4 thumbs up on it, and we put it up a day ago or something like that. So that's a little link to, obviously it's free YouTube video there too. So some of our most recent stuff that we've got going on, I just put that into the chat. And her secret sex signals class is starting Thursday, April 1st. And that is the greatmenmovemountains.com/signals. If you want to check that one out. But so what I want to mention is, that was my 60-second sponsored by my own company stuff. If you want to get a hold of me, then lots of free stuff, and we've got classes and all kind of stuff coming up. So I'm around. Some free get yourself there. I know Steve Horseman has got his paid retreat. I've got paid retreats. I also have free meetups, and one of them is going to be in Idaho this year. Another one's going to be in Pennsylvania. I did Savannah, Georgia this January, and I plan on doing that next January again. I was just in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio at the end of April into Saturday, May 1st. So the last week of April into that weekend, that Saturday is May 1st. I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio. So if you're anywhere near Columbus, Ohio, or if you're thinking about flying in for some reason, I'm going to be there May 1st, and Dennis Collins is going to be there as well. And so we each know a handful of guys already. So there's something like 8 of us going to be getting together for that Saturday, May 1st in Columbus, Ohio, 2021, if you're watching this later. And that's a just get yourself there, okay? And then also, I know Sven and I and some other guys are going to be doing things in Pennsylvania. So if you want to get together around the country, there's Idaho at the end of May, which I'm inviting guys from my relaunch groups to that. So if I've mentioned that to you before and you want to confirm that, only 10 guys are going to go there. That's a just get yourself there and meetup kind of space too. So I wanted to push those things, because just getting yourself together with other guys, going hiking, chopping trees down, these are some things that we're going to be doing. You know, whether you go shoot your pistol or do advanced pistol defense training like we did in Phoenix. Me and Dennis Collins and Charlie McKeever was there too. And we're gonna do that next year, more moving and shooting next year as well. We shot a tactical shotgun this year. Lots of stuff, climbing up mountains and where you can hang your legs basically off the backside of a mountain. Lots of fun shit. So that's my little intro. We've got about 45 minutes left at the most today. I want to honor the Staircase of Courage question again, and then I'll bounce over into a post from the forum. So if you missed this at the beginning, I asked everybody to think of, what would you do if you had 30 days for your own vacation on your own? Who would you be on your own without a relationship? What would you be? Who would you be as a man on your own if she were abducted by aliens, if she were on vacation in Antarctica or something like this, you know, or she went to a yoga retreat in India for 30 days? Who would you be as a man? And speaking of, I like to jump up on the platform of some fun and dive into the shit from there, because we swim in the deep end and then we kick up off the bottom of the pool with a perspective and a plan. Like I say, we don't want to drown in vulnerability. We want to kick up and we want to have some comedy and some fun shit. So I've got a few minutes of Aussie Man Reviews yoga. I love Aussie Man Reviews. Here's a couple minutes and I'll come back. Here we go.
Dogs take yoga very seriously. This one's like, Jennifer, you call that downward dog? Yeah, nah, put your balls into it. Make sure they salute the sun. I'm a dog, so yeah, I think I know how to do this pose properly. Oh, the invasive starfish pose. Clearly this can be done anywhere. If you find yourself getting angry in peak hour traffic, then yeah, just jump out of the car and start doing a 3-hour session to pass the time. How many times do we have to go over this, Karen. Stretch your leg and hold. I could do it all year if I wanted to. I just have other shit to do is all. But it's easy peasy. Don't get cute with me. Quit doing yoga. Quit doing yoga and play with me, or I will straight up grab you in the Donald Trump. Done. Steady breathing, steady breathing, steady breathing. Ah, here's a couple doing yoga together. Vomit. If I had to come up with a name for this particular pose, I'd call it Fuck Me, That Drone Is Awfully Close. Ouch! It got me. It's a long name, but it is easy to remember. Let's do yoga together, she said. It will be super duper relaxing, she said. There's no way this guy does not wish he was at the pub smashing a mid-strength beer and a steak sandwich right now. Dear me. Expert level unlocked. Fresh air plus yoga. Yeah, this woman is attempting the bridge pose. Quite literally on a bridge. There's absolutely no chance of anything going wrong. She's arching her back. She's breathing. She's doing everything right, but her left leg is being an asshole. She puts it down, regroups, inhales, exhales, tries to lift it again. Actually, I no longer think this is part of the pose. I think she's 100% stuck. She slowly tries to get unstuck and falls in the river. Unfortunately, there will be no Instagram content recorded for her today. Overall, this pug is my spirit animal. This is pretty much what I do when I get invited to a yoga class, and then I get kicked out and banned for life, which is fair enough.
I was trying to think of which one of you often does the balls in the camera pose. or falls in the river. Like he goes, and then she falls in the river. I can't do accents for shit. She falls in the river. No, it's still not close. Not close at all. I'm notoriously, somehow I can actually be so bad at accents. I have no idea. I can read a book and make funny sounds, but I can't do an accent to save my damn life. I don't know. I couldn't be Andy Malloy if I tried. Andy got to come in with the spot here. Say, and then she falls in the river. See, it's already better.
And then she falls in the river.
See, there you go. That's why Andy Malloy does my voiceovers for Andy legit is the voice of Great Men Move Mountains on my advertising campaign. I'm putting that together as we speak, Andy. I'm still working with my consultant on that. Yeah, exactly. Do you want less paralyzing fear in your relationship? She falls in the river. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. And then I got to play this because I love Hulk Hogan's intro. Here we go.
The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
This I've got to see. It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
Oh yeah, I love it. Fun with iMovie. Fun with iMovie. Let's go and jump into what would you do? A post from the forum. First time posting here. For a brief background. So I'm going to ask you guys, what would you do? Let me come back here for a second. I do this on my show. I should preface this. I'm going to ask you, where is this man emotionally? And what do you think he wants next? When you ask yourself a question, when you journal, when you write into your journal, or when another man posts on the forum, you're not trying to solve the problem. You're not trying to solve the problem for yourself. You're not trying to solve the problem for the other man. You're trying to hear it out. You're trying to tease it out. You're trying to put it on the table without judgment. And this is what you do for a woman as well, or for a child, or for your own self, is you tease it out and put it on the table. So that's something we're going to go into here is, whenever I ask you, what would you do? And it's a post from the forum. What do you think this man is going through emotionally? And what do you think he wants right now in this moment? Okay. First time posting here. For a brief background, my wife and I were living in separate rooms for about 1.5 years due to our problems. Problems being her wanting more children after I had a vasectomy and resenting me for not wanting a reversal. That resentment led to very little sex, which caused a lot of frustration on my end, and so began the snowball of anger, hurt, finger pointing, etc. She finally hit me with wanting a divorce, and after months and months of begging her to rethink this, we are now both lawyered up, fighting over the kids, on our way to finalizing it. Going on 2 years since the start of this. Funny thing is, she still tells me I'm her soulmate and will love me forever, but can't deal with my roller coaster of emotions and verbal abuse, quote unquote. First anyone has accused me of that. It's caused a lot of pain and confusion for me. She was the love of my life, and I can't believe I lost her. I now have my own home that I bought last month, but I'm still struggling to be alone and can't stop thinking about what or who she's doing. It affects everything in my life, work, kids, free time, health, everything. I have some good days where I feel like I'm making progress, but then it hits me like a train again. I've been dating other women on occasion to see if it would help ease the pain, but it really doesn't. I just want to figure out how to let go and be okay. It just seems so tragic to put our kids through this and give up on each other. The more I try and push to save us, the more cold and distant she becomes. I've really never felt so pathetic in my life. Any advice is much appreciated. Thanks for listening. Okay, so I'd love for at least 2 men to come in. Where do you think this man is right now emotionally? And what do you think he wants, like truly? So if you have your camera on, I'd love for you to unmute yourself and come on in. Ken's here, Rob, Lon, Paul, Robert, JT, John. Guys, come on in. Michael, Andy, Jason. What do you think what is this man going through, and what does he want right now in this chapter of life? What do you think? Come on in.
I'll take a crack, Jeff. He's still in the midst of, I want to call it the hummingbird type husband. He has not been able to let go in any way. He's not found his own bearings. He's not found his confidence that he's going to be okay, regardless of what happens. And he's trying to control the outcome a little bit, or thinking he can control it a little bit when he can't. He has to understand that he can only control himself, what he can do for himself. He can't change his wife's or control his wife's feelings or thoughts, what she does. He has to basically just be selfish and think about himself, and think about that he'll come out of this thing okay. And really, as Steve likes to say a lot, not really give a fuck about what happens to the wife.
Yeah. And what that makes me think of, John, I love it. First of all, it makes me think of the pendulum. I went through this where I was kind of naive. I was the nice guy that thought if I did everything right, that I should have a perfect relationship and no problems in my life, and then the pendulum swings the other way and the curtain's thrown back and you're tossed behind, I call it thrown into the back alley of life with my face smashed across the brick wall across the way, That's what it felt like for me. So when you're talking about, to me, when you say, kind of have to fucking think about yourself for maybe the first time in forever, it's an awakening to us nice guys, at least me, that well, what do you mean? I'm martyring myself all over everything. What am I supposed? I thought I was supposed to be giving of myself and doing the dishes or whatever else, right? So I'm supposed to now be selfish. What does that mean?
Yeah, I went through the same thing. I think most of us here probably were the good guy type husband. And, we have this little story in our heads, this storybook ending of what our marriage is going to look like 50 years from now, 30 years from now, whatever. And it's a fiction. There's no guarantee that that's what's going to happen. And you have to come to terms with, deal with what you have, I guess. The story in your head is just, it's not real. The day you got married, you had a 50% chance that story was going to come true. And so here you are,
Yeah, John, you nailed it. You hit a home run, buddy. I mean, even in our career, I had a friend of mine who has been a client now for over a year. He's a friend of mine as well. I met him in North Carolina. And he said that in his past very safe job, his very safe engineering job, that he's seen twice where two men that have been next door to him tapped on the shoulder and fired within 15 minutes of giving notice. You're fired in 15 minutes, get your shit. And he said in his very safe job that men have just been fired, and like that. And that's the story that we tell ourselves, John, right? We can tell ourselves we're very safe and be naive about it, or we can face the dragon. And like your point of that whole future is a fiction. It doesn't have to be true that the most terrible thing is going to happen. And if it did, what would you do anyway? What would you do? That's what I have men go through all the time in my one-on-one coaching is, if that terrible thing happened, what would you do? This guy, like, okay, so they're getting divorced. They're both lawyered up. She resents you because you won't get a reversal on your vasectomy, which that's a whole story, right? Fighting over the kids. He bought this new home. He's dating other women right now. He's not accepting where he is, the hummingbird, like we were saying. So he's definitely needs to face some of his own fears, putting it out there like this, like you are to another man or to a coach or to post it on the forum. It's to just shine a light on it. You don't have to fix it. Most of it is just shining the light on it. And it feels like, John, you've done a lot of that for your own self. Is that true? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I've been forced to face a lot of things, and being in the group with Steve has helped me a great deal. Just come to terms with, you're going to be okay. Whatever happens, the topic of today is confidence. And I read that book. I forget what, Confidence, Finding It or Living It, whatever.
Yeah. Is that Barbara DeAngelis? I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to work on understanding that regardless of what happens, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So.
Yeah, I love it. That's short and sweet. Yeah, I appreciate it, John. Thank you. Hey, Lon, thanks for raising your hand. Come on in, buddy.
What I wanted to say, Jeff, and it borders on what John says, and it actually ties me to what you said. I was listening to an old roundtable today, and some words that Steve said is he said you have to understand that basically you've been sent to the leper colony. You've been fired. Those were his exact words. He said you've been fired from that relationship. And I struggle with that. And it's hard to sometimes accept that basically that this guy's been fired from his relationship with his wife. And he doesn't quite believe it yet. He's just trying to figure out sort of like, how did this happen? How can I fix it? And like John said, really the only way he's going to fix it is to move forward with his life, to become, and he's just, and I'm in the same spot that guy is some days. Some days I'm great. Some days I really see the vision. And then some days I'm just like, well, how the fuck did I get here and how do I fix it? That's what this is about, what you're doing. It's the confidence. It's living your own life. That's how you fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Lon, if you don't mind, can I put you on the spot for a second? Is that okay? I'm going to ask about your daily routine. So one thing I want to give you guys is the first 10 minutes of your day. All right. I give this to guys all the time. It's more valuable than me just giving it away, meaning it sounds really simple, but if you're doing it over time, and I'm going to ask Lon about this, it takes less than 10 minutes and it's just a few things. Okay. One is closing your eyes and just seeing what comes up in your mind for 2 minutes. You could call it a meditation, but to me, I do the guided form of copy myself. So I put a copy of myself in the room for 2 minutes and I close my eyes. This is all in my mind. And I just see what comes up. Do I talk with myself? Do I ask myself questions? Does this version of me ask myself a question? Am I happy just calmly sitting there with a copy? Am I upset about something? What am I upset about? You do that for 2 minutes with your eyes closed. And then when you open your eyes, dump whatever that is in a journal. Okay, maybe that's 2 more minutes. And then usually some kind of breathing exercise. So the Wim Hof, WIMHOF breathing exercise. One of those that takes less than 10 minutes. Closing your eyes, dumping it into a journal, and some kind of breathing exercise takes less than 10 minutes. So, Lon, what's your morning routine like? Because I find that embodiment practice, what I just described, like unlocking your psyche, dumping shit out of your head so it doesn't spin, right? Getting into your body with some kind of breathing. Those things are exponentially, compoundingly more important as you do them over time. What is your morning routine kind of like, Lon? Go ahead and share with us.
Well, a month ago, it was not real good. But in the meantime, since then, I joined mentoring.men with Sven and those guys. And I took Sven's class, The Renewed Masculine Man.
Nice.
Which I'm currently taking, and that involves a 10-10-10 in the morning, which is 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of breathing, meditation, using the heart monitor, and then I read for 10 minutes. So
fantastic. How's that been going for you? Yeah.
It's good. And a lot of what Sven's idea behind that is basically to form habits, because I'm not good at habits. I tend to careen all over the place. And the 10-10-10 has really helped me to establish a routine and sort of help me with my day to sort of figure out exactly what I've got going on, so I don't sort of spin out of control and not knowing what's going. I know what's going to happen. I basically break my day down in those 30 minutes is what I do. So I kind of have an outline of my day. It's really helped. The meditation has really helped me. I tend to not do the reading as much. The 10 minutes of reading, and the reason for that is I've always been a guy that reads when I go to bed. So it's hard for me to spend 10 minutes reading in the morning. So I tend to just read at night. So I'm basically doing a 10-10 is what I'm doing. But yeah, and it really helps me to journal it and kind of break it down. So yeah.
Yeah. So give us an example, if you don't mind, Lon. What's something, when you have days that are rough days, where you said, I wonder which way is up. That's not the exact words that you put, but you feel kind of lost some days, and other days you're on. Is there a consistency for your own self on the days that you're on? Are you finding your correlation between this work, the daily 10-10? Because I have the Oak Journal as well. I got that when Sven recommended it.
Yep.
And so I'm in this with you guys. Yeah, I'm shoulder to shoulder with you guys. Yeah. So have you found a correlation to that, Lon?
My days spin out of control. I mean, I'll just give you a real brief synopsis of my story. My wife moved out at the end of June last year. So she's been gone about 9 months. We're just starting to go through the divorce process, which is going to happen. She's become very avoidant. I mean, I haven't seen her in 4 months. We don't talk. And what I find is that I get really clear a lot of days about, that whole Steve Horseman idea that I get to write my next 7, 8, 10 chapters, whatever it is. And I can be really good with that. And I can really focus in on the fact that I get to write that story, do that thing. And then what'll happen to me is every now and then I'll sort of let my soon-to-be ex-wife back into the story is what I'll do. And what I'll do is I'll catch myself sort of basically kind of, like I said, we have no communication. We don't see each other, but I'll still find myself sort of looking back over my shoulder and wondering, I wonder what will happen to us in the future, when I should really be focusing on. So when I spin out of control is when I sort of lose control of making it through that day. Basically like, as Steve Horseman says, I've got 9 hours left of my day. What am I going to do with it? And then I start thinking about, well, we're going to get divorced. Maybe after divorce, we'll be friends. Then I spin out of control. So that makes sense. So
it does. So are you able to catch yourself in those days and those moments?
Yes. Yes, I am. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, when I started this, so I mean, my 10-second story is 2015 was the worst year of my relationship life, 2015. And I was on, the therapy couch for 6 months, and I heard the verbal, the emotional abusive as well. The verbally abusive was in this guy's story. I heard that as well, the emotionally abusive as well. And I had to take a look at my own anger and everything that was coming up for me. And even noticing, and my point, Lon, is even noticing that what was going on in my body was a huge precipice for me. It was a huge gateway into being able to be the man that I wanted to be, emotionally in control, right? The book Confidence came up earlier, Barbara DeAngelis. One of those is emotional control of your physical self. So for you, Lon, right? Do you have a certain physiological reaction when you're spinning out of control in that way? Is that how you catch yourself? Say more about that if you would.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's funny you say that. I was just on the roundtable talk the other day, Thursday. And for me, it's I describe it as a gerbil in my stomach chewing his way out. I can feel him in there, and he just starts to kind of gnaw. And months ago, it would put me in the couch for hours, sometimes days. I called it not being able to get up off the mat. And it would lay me out for hours, days sometimes, depending on how much I spun out of control. And then I'd get up and I'd do something for an hour, 2 hours, and then I'd find I was back in the couch. And I find now that, when I get that feeling in there, I just kind of go back, and then I've been, as I go through more of this men's stuff with Steve, Sven. I mean, I've developed a relationship with Dan Fritsch. I can reach out to guys like that, and and even conversations like it's what Steve says, taking it to the men, right? It just sort of fills me up with that energy, and it's really allowed me to. I mean, one of the things, and I'm not very, I can't always reframe this. I'm working on it. But one of the things I can look at is that my wife leaving me like this has really been a wonderful gift, because like you, I wasn't the happiest. I really didn't have that great a life. You know what I mean? I was coasting. We were coasting through life. It wasn't living a quality life. And as I become more present in my everyday, I'm much better. I describe it as, if I go to the grocery store, I have a lot better time going to the grocery store because I'm engaged with everybody I meet. If I'm walking down the street, I'm engaged with people I meet. I'm much more alive. I'm much more where I'm at. It's just been a wonderful thing for me. And like I said, the only thing that, and it's that power that your wife has over you. She's really the only thing that can sort of pull me back. And it's like you said, it's emotional, right? It's me thinking about it, and that was part of the roundtable discussion this morning I was listening to, is that Dan talks about that emotions bring up feelings in your body. And you just have to learn to sort of, almost override those in a way, and not, like you said, when that gerbil's coming out of my stomach, to sort of just understand why he's there, what's bothering me, sort of pinpoint it, square it out, and go, okay, I'm not worried about that anymore because I can't control it, or I can control it, and this is what I'm going to do to control it.
Yeah, I love what you said a minute ago, Lon, about going through the grocery store. So you have both sides. You're cutting away the anchors, what you just described, and then also you're jet fueling into the future with these new skills. So you're the man that's just fun to be around at the grocery store, even for your own self. And everyone else that you interact with is going to have a better time because, you're spreading that, you could call it love, into the community, into your community, into the world.
Yeah, it's that cup that they talk about. I'm trying to fill my cup so that once my cup overfills, then I can fill other people's cups. And I'm learning it. It's not it just doesn't happen like that, but I'm working at it every day.
Well, Lon, that's inspiring to me, man. I mean, this whole thing, that's why I had this theme today of, I want us to be inspired, guys. I want you to have your own life that inspires you. I booked a ticket to Charlotte 5 days ahead of time so I could go shoot before. I had my vasectomy on Tuesday, actually, this week. I've been laid up and shit. It's kind of funny how many things coincide in the world with this story that I pulled off the forum today. I'm not worried about having more kids though. Good. I'm good at that. No more kids. That's good. I'm good. I'd rather be traveling and doing whatever else. My son's, 17 as it is. I, knock on wood, can launch him. Launch him sometime within the next 5 years or whatever the age is now. I don't know. Is it 30 years old yet? I don't know. He'll launch when he's 30, something like that.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, Lon, I appreciate that, man. I love that about being that new man in the world is a new thing. It was certainly a new thing for me. I had to learn this and how to stop that gerbil from chewing out of my stomach. Mine is that this energy shoots up the back of my head, and then I get this laser vision, and that's kind of driven by, I guess, my own entitlements of nice guy entitlements, Like, what do you mean everything's not perfect? Like, okay, let's gear down there, Jeff, So that's what I've had to work myself through. I appreciate that, Lon.
You bet. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So let me pick on somebody else. What's your 30 days of vacation, no strings attached? Let's go Sheldon. Sheldon, if you can come on in, buddy. What would be your 30 days, no strings attached? What would you do for yourself?
Well, myself, I like to play badminton and pickleball. I like to stay active, and I would go around and do tournaments if there was no COVID, obviously.
Sure.
I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I enjoy meeting new people like that, and like-minded people who enjoy the same things I do. And as it is, I do recreational badminton 2-3 nights a week sometimes, and at least I used to. And it was a lot of fun. So I got to meet a lot of new people, and that was something of my own that didn't involve my wife. And I found that was very refreshing, I loved going. It was like getting air, from the rest of the week. So do that. I would do more of my weightlifting and practice my drumming more, and I would just take time for myself like that. And do the things that I enjoy doing. I already do those things. It's just I'm limited with time with work and kids and stuff. So it's tough to get those things in. If I would just do more of what I do in my recreational time is what I would do. Yeah.
Sheldon, so fun. I love ping pong and that kind of stuff. How hard is it to get into pickleball?
It's actually very easy, and it's actually a great game, and it's not as physically demanding as badminton is. It's a lot of fun, and it's a growing sport. It's huge. One of my friends that I have played with, she's up here in Canada. She's one of the best players up here, and she's gone really far with it. And she just quit badminton, went right into that, and she's doing very well. And so it's it's a lot of fun. Yeah, nice. and there's a lot of elderly people who play it too, and they have a great time. It's good for people of all ages. So
yeah, it seems like it has a lot of longevity. The game does, yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So Sheldon, you seem like a fairly contented guy. Is that true? Is that fair to say?
I've become that way in about the last 6 months. I've been hummingbird most of my life. I'm with my second wife. We're currently still separated, but we live in the same house, and I'm in the basement suite, and we stay together for the kids right now. But she doesn't really want to end it, and neither do I, but we're just going through a lot of tough times. So I'm trying to be more mountain lion and trying to do my own thing as much as I can. However, I still have responsibility to the boys, so I want to make sure I'm there for them and do my part with that. But finding my own, what I like, I kind of lost myself, like with my first wife, totally lost myself with her. And now I kind of found myself in between the two, and now I lost myself with this one again. So now I'm learning on how to, take control of my thoughts, take control of my actions, to learn how to listen, that kind of stuff. So it's a journey. It's tough. And there's days I want to regress, and there's other days where I really move forward. So it's,
Yeah, it feels like this is a perfect topic for you then. We're backstroking through exactly what you're working on then, it sounds like.
Yeah. It's tough. It's like I'm turning 50 this year, and I've been one way most of my life. So to change when you're at this age it's a tough thing to do, to change the way you think. I'm finding it a real struggle, but then, as long as I slow down and just breathe and just think, okay, with, what's the meaning behind the meaning? Then is something she says or something that's happened really what it is? Normally it's not. I've learned a lot, and being on some of these couple Facebook groups, it's really helped listening to other guys and what they go through and how similar everything is. And it's quite encouraging.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I agree with you, Sheldon. I'm glad you're in the different places as well. And this reminds me of I had to learn that I want to be in a bit of a different persona when I'm around my woman. And this is what this is reminding me of, Sheldon. And I didn't know this before. I thought it was just, we're friends, like you're married and then everything is kind of the same as when you're dating. And it's all kind of, well, at the beginning, it's easy. In the honeymoon phase, it's easy. But when we have this persona that she's our mistress, she's our lover, and how would you act always around your mistress or your lover? And sure, when you're doing the bills or you're doing taxes, there's sometimes it's not appropriate, but to practice the lover energy specifically is something I do 10 times as often as I thought I would be doing that. If you had asked me a decade ago, I wouldn't have really even known what you were talking about. Now it's specific instances of that lover energy, 10 times more frequent, little small surgical strikes, definitely not trying to jump to step 10 on the staircase, but that reminds me of what you're saying, Sheldon, of you lost yourself, and what keeps you attractive in relationship with a woman is what you're grounding yourself in now, this theme of your own life, right? And then that she's my mistress. I'm not trying to meld 100% with her. I am trying to keep this certain dance alive between us, is what it sounds like, Sheldon.
Right. Yeah. And it's learning that dance. That's a tough thing, and her and I actually a few years ago took dancing together, and that was a lot of fun for both. And it was my idea to do it. But we learned it. And once we learned it, it was a lot of fun. Now, of course, we haven't done it now for a while, but learning that dance and knowing when it is a dance and when it isn't, I still have trouble with that sometimes too, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's always a dance. I think that's my default. It's
yeah.
Anytime you're speaking to a woman, it's 99% emotional dance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you're talking about a lover. You know, the lovemaking starts in the morning and it's all day long. You know, it's not just, you know, and that's another thing I've had to learn too. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Sheldon. Yeah, good to see you, man. Yeah, George, come on in. Thanks for raising your hand, bud.
Yeah, your sessions are great, and it's really terrific to hear all these perspectives. I was just going to somewhat respond to your question and maybe change it a little bit. I can't imagine 30 days, but recently I had 5 days where she went home to her parents to care for some things, and I really enjoyed myself. And I got to a point where I even said to her, if you need some more time, for God's sake, take it. You know, your parents aren't going to be here forever. And we had been so codependent since day one of marriage 26 years ago, until I was pushed off onto the leper colony, as Steve puts it. And the headline for the person who wrote in the chat earlier, at least from my perspective, is the only thing you're in control of is yourself. If you reverse the vasectomy, it doesn't mean she's going to love you one bit more. You can't control these environmental things. And what I've been working on hard, and it's hard, is defining terms with everybody in my life. Maybe I've always thought of myself as being candid, but I wasn't. And now I'm going to respond to one of my kids in text and say, I understand where you're coming from. I don't particularly like the way you're speaking to me right now. And here's what I would expect going forward if we're going to stay on this topic. And I'm telling you, it's liberating to be yourself. I had no expectations of a happy hour with my wife last night. I certainly had no expectations of her inviting me to do 30 minutes of yoga today. Never thought I was really into yoga, but you know what? I enjoy the 30 minutes with her, and we're trying to rebuild, and she's got to feel like it's at least half on her terms, and I'm okay with that. So that's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, beautiful, George. I appreciate that. So half on her terms, is she a woman that likes to have control in a certain extent, George?
No, she was the most passive, supportive individual for the first 25 years of our marriage. And I think that she subjugated herself in support of me. And as she turned 53 and saw herself at some point being an empty nester, she has started working on a career and on finding her true worth. And I never thought that my behavior was precluding that. But you know what? It's an awakening. And I guess that's the way I would answer the question.
I hear you. Yeah. So she's wanting to make certain that she has some of her own control in her own life right now.
She talks about liking to be on an island. She has let certain friends know that she has no time for their drama, that they've got to work on them. And I started to feel less singled out when I realized, holy shit, this is a woman who is trying to take control of her life after maybe subjugating herself for others in a kind-hearted way for a long time, and enabling a lot of people to have bad behaviors, and myself included. And I'm not saying I was all bad. I think there's a hell of a lot of good. I'm just trying to keep working on the good and be supportive, but also not compromise my own being. I mean, it's tough. It's really, really tough. But you got 25 years of being codependent. Absolutely codependent. That's not going to fix itself overnight.
Right. Yeah. So how do you feel like you're losing yourself? Do you feel like you're still losing yourself or no?
Well, I mean, would I like to have sex as opposed to yoga? Yes. But
Yeah.
I'll take the yoga right now because it may lead to something else, and where there's some degree of kindness and love, there's hope.
Yeah, so let me give you some ninja level stuff here, George. There's a couple of ninja level skills I can give all you guys right now. And so women want to be seen. They want to be seen for what they are doing, what they already are doing to bring love and beauty and emotion into your life. And if you look, you can find, unless she's completely moved out and there's no contact, right? If that's the case, that's different. But if there's any kind of contact and she's doing things in your life and she's wanting to be her own person, George, you can praise her for those goals, for those, because it's been 25 years and she hasn't had masculine goals. It sounds like she's been very feminine. And so now she's trying to get her own feet underneath her in a masculine, let's use that masculine polarity, right, guys? Masculine, feminine. So masculine are goals and her wanting to have freedom, where feminine is about flow and about connection and love. So a woman that's wanting more goals and more freedom, what you can do is specifically praise when she does something like have a goal or achieve her own freedom in a certain way. You can praise that, and that will honor what I call the masculine shell that she's spearheading into the world with. And what that'll do is help to open that masculine shell so she's more feminine and soft with you again. If you don't honor the masculine spear that she has in that moment in the world, then the shell will harden because you don't see her, you don't see what's important to her right now, all that stuff. Okay, guys. So that's something I just feel, George, it's been a long time, right? To your point. So this is a skill you may not have practiced for 25 years. You don't need to lay it on thick, but it's honoring her freedom counterintuitively brings her closer to you because she feels seen and understood. So this is some of the counterintuitive emotional stuff behind it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that's very helpful. And I would also say, maybe you'd agree with that, when they do open up, when she does open up and does want to talk and does want me to bring me into her situational experiences, she's not looking for me to solve a problem. She's looking for me to listen. She's looking for me to acknowledge and be more about, hey, I think you're on the right path. What do you think you should do? And be a lot more listening as opposed to bloviating, man, which we all do. You know, she's not a golfing buddy. She's she's your partner. That's my take anyway.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree, George. That's very pertinent. That's exactly right. I totally agree. If we could try to fix less, I mean, if we fixed one thing a month, right? If we fixed one thing a month, that's probably a half a thing too many. I'm not quite sure how to say it. We try to fix everything, but it's really not about that, is it, George? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, we have about 4 minutes left. I'm going to post those links one more time. I've got a lot of free stuff. Get a hold of me. I'm happy to do this with you otherwise. And I'm going to go away with a little story, this little anecdote about the angry man and the rowboat. And so let me come back here and post these into the chat. Again, I hope that you're chatting each other up privately. If you know someone or you want to support someone or you like what something another guy said, please support them in that. So yeah, go to greatmenmovemountains.com to check out my stuff, the new class that Cynthia Kruse is leading. She's my partner in crime. We've been in private practice for over 5 years. We both have been in professionals for a long time in this field. She's doing the signals class, so /signals. And then those are other ways you can get a hold of me, and a free YouTube video there as well. So let me go ahead and jump back over here. So the little rowboat and the angry man story. It'll just take me 30 seconds to tell this story. And I connect with this man. So I used to be the man that was on the rowboat in the middle of the fog, rowing from one side of my Minnesota lake when I was a boy to the other. You know, in Boy Scouts, you're rowing from one side of the lake to the other. And in the middle of the lake, you know, I, as this metaphoric old man, right, this metaphoric man, ran into another boat in the middle of the lake and almost had road rage for the moment of, watch where you're going. I can't believe you ran into me. Can't believe you ran your boat into me. And the fog clears and I realize there's no other person in the other boat. There's no other man in the other boat. It's just me. And I've run my own rowboat into this other boat that just happened to be adrift in the middle of the lake, in the middle of the fog. And in that moment, my anger drained away. And I realized I'm really all in control of my emotional response. If there was a man there or there wasn't a man there, there was really no one there in the first place for me to be angry at. That was my own shit, my own story, my own emotional control. And that's what I think about of this old man, the rowboat, old man in the rowboat in the fog, this angry old man. I think of my own self in that instance. Of what am I angry about? What am I angry at? And anytime I have those feelings of frustration or boredom even, or feeling lost or angry, I think, you know, what am I really angry at here? Am I angry at the fog? Am I angry at my plight, right? Am I playing a victim in this moment? Did I just run into an empty rowboat and I'm angry at the non-existent other guy I'm trying to blame and project my own shit onto? Or have I done my daily routine today? Have I done my morning routine today? Those super important things. I love that you guys are here. Michael, thanks for coming in. Tom, John, Andy Malois here, JT, Lon, Rob, Mr. Bradbury, Sheldon, I appreciate it. Paul, good to see you again, man. Chris, fantastic. Robert, good to see you. And everybody else that joined here today. Love you guys. I will see you on the forum, on the round table, and good guys to great men, and great men move mountains. Kent, good to see you on here. Sheldon, there you are again, buddy. Have a great one. George, I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend, gentlemen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.